Guys, welcome back to the channel, the First and Goal show on YouTube. It's been a while since the last show. Sorry for that, but we are back now. Today we are going to be talking about some college football. We're going to talk about college football quarterbacks specifically. We are going to rank 1 to 5, the top 5 best quarterbacks in the college football world in the 2020 season. So without further ado, let's get it going. Oh, before we start, if you're new, do not be afraid to smash that subscribe button. Drop a like if you enjoy the video. Share it with a friend if you enjoy it as well. So now, let's get it going. Number 1, starting it off, I'm going to go with Kyle Trask, the quarterback for the Florida Gators. Trask is having the biggest breakout year of any quarterback in the FBS, of any player in the FBS overall. He's playing the best football at the quarterback position of any player at that position this year, no doubt. He is leading the FBS with 34 touchdowns, and it's not like he has played a crazy amount of games either. He hasn't played more games than anyone else on this list. In fact, Zach Wilson, who's later down on this list, he's played more games than Kyle Trask, and he has 8 less touchdowns. So Trask, 34 touchdowns, been playing out of his mind. He has the third best quarterback rating at 93.4 out of everyone in the nation. He's leading a very explosive Florida offense to a 7-1 record with only one loss to Texas A&M, but he still played great in that loss. He led the Gators team to 38 points scored. He also had a 71% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in that loss to Texas A&M. He is a true leader. He is the definition of a leader at the quarterback position. He's taken a Florida program that's been iffy for the last decade since they lost Tim Tebow and really solidified them as true contenders in not only the SEC, but in the entire nation. That's how good this team is. They very well could be in the college football playoffs in January, and a lot of that has to be credited to Kyle Trask and how well he's been playing this season. Number 2, another SEC quarterback, Mac Jones, the quarterback for Alabama. Jones has filled Tua Tagovailoa's shoes to perfection this season. He has 23 touchdowns, including 5 in the Iron Bowl last night against Auburn, of course. He dominated a usually very good Auburn defense, and they're good this year, too. They have some very good players like Big Cat Bryant, Papo at linebacker, Roger McCreary in the defensive backfield. Some really good players on that Auburn team, and he absolutely tore them up. 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's solidifying himself and Alabama as probably the best team in college football right now, especially with that great defense. But Jones, very, very efficient as well. He has a completion percentage of 76%, and that's right up there with the best of the quarterbacks in the FBS. He's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the nation. He takes advantage of every opportunity that he is given. He's leading an offense that their worst performance is a 38-point outing, and that was on opening day. So they've only gotten better, and they've also scored in the 60s on multiple occasions. This offense is extremely explosive, and it all comes back to Mac Jones. It all starts with Mac Jones. He's also top 7 in the nation in both touchdowns and yards, and he also leads the nation in quarterback rating at 95.5. So there you see the efficiency coming back, how well he is taking advantage of every opportunity that he is given. Number 3, Trevor Lawrence. Now, Trevor Lawrence, he's missed a couple games this season, but he still has 19 touchdowns and 2,236 yards this year, which is good. Do not get me wrong, those are good numbers. Those are considerable lower numbers than what Mac Jones and Kyle Trask have in those departments, but can't forget, he's missed 2 games this season, so he's at a disadvantage when you're comparing him to Jones and Trask. And despite missing 2 games this year, he's still 12th in yards and 13th in passing touchdowns this season, and that is very, very impressive. He may be the best quarterback prospect when you're talking about the NFL draft that we have seen since Andrew Luck. Like Luck, he is extremely smart in decision-making and does not waste any single throw. He's cut down on the interceptions this year. He only has 2 so far in 7 games. Lawrence is extremely efficient as well, like Mac Jones, as he has over a 70% completion percentage throughout the entire year. Lawrence also, you can't forget, he's missing his wide receiver 1 this season in Justin Ross. Ross, going into the year, was projected to be their top wide receiver, and he's been out all year with an injury because of surgery he had back in the summer. And he also has, in addition to not having his wide receiver 1 in Justin Ross, he also has one of the least experienced wide receiver corps out of anyone on this list. Like players like E.J. Williams have had to step up. Freshman wide receiver Cornell Powell, who hasn't had over 200 yards in a single season up to his point in his career. So he's working with some of the, I don't want to say the worst, because these guys are still very talented players, but the least experienced group out of anyone on this list. Number 4, Justin Fields. He has played, when you're talking about games played, he has really played significantly less games than the other 4 people on this list. He has only played 4 games all season because he is in the Big Ten playing for Ohio State. But in 3 of them, he has had 300-plus passing yards, and in 3 out of the 4, he hasn't thrown an interception. If it wasn't for the 3 interceptions against Indiana, he would be much higher on this list, possibly number 1. But he didn't have the best game, or actually, it was a good game against Indiana. He just had some ball security issues, and that's why he's a little bit lower on the list. In his first 3 games this season, he had a completion percentage over 80%, and he wasn't playing scrub defenses either. He played Penn State's defense. Even though their record doesn't reflect it, they actually do have a pretty good defense, very good pass rush with Shaka Toney and Jason Owa on the edge. And overall, he has a completion percentage of 79.6. So another guy that is extremely efficient, the most efficient and opportunistic quarterback on this list overall. And despite playing far less games than the other quarterbacks, when you look at the games that he has played, he has the second best quarterback rating in the entire nation, right around that 94 quarterback rating range. Now, moving on to the final player on this list, we have Zach Wilson out of BYU, the only non-Power 5 guy on my top 5 list. But listen, this should not be a surprise to anyone watching. If Zach Wilson was in the Power 5, was in a Power 5 conference, he would be a top 2 quarterback in the nation. He'd be a top 2 quarterback on my ranking list. But even still, he is playing phenomenal football and deserves top 5 recognition. Wilson has 26 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He has the least interceptions on this list, despite playing the most games. Like I said, 2 interceptions. Wilson also has 8 rushing touchdowns in 9 games this year. His athleticism is only matched by Justin Fields. He is the second best athlete out of these 5 players, and Justin Fields is the only guy that's above him, but very, very good athlete. He's a guy, though, that doesn't look to use his legs too much. He's always keeping his eyes downfield. Very smart player, rarely forces the ball. Huge arm and is extremely accurate. This guy has a very bright future, and I expect him, just like the other 4 guys on this list, to have a successful career, or at least somewhat of a career in the NFL. Just because he is not on a Power 5 team does not make him a worse player. People need to really recognize that Zach Wilson is he's just as good as the other players on this list. That's going to wrap it up for my top 5 quarterbacks in the college football world. Please do not forget to subscribe, drop a like, share it with your friends if you enjoyed. Stay up to date on all of my podcast, the First and Goal podcast with Sam Levine. You can find that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Buzzsprout, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the Twitter, First and Goal Football FB. That is the Twitter handle. Stay up to date on all the articles I post on firstandgoalfootballtalk.com. And that is going to wrap it up for today. As always, we'll see you next time.